Ladies and gentlemen, suppose you're walking down a street and someone bumps into you. Immediately, without thinking, you exclaim, "That's not fair." Now stop. What did you mean by fair? Where did that idea come from? You didn't say, "I don't like that." You said, "That's wrong." But wrong by what standard? You see, this is no small squabble. Beneath that everyday protest lies something colossal, something so significant that it may unlock the meaning of the universe itself. I urge you, before you change the station or scroll to something else, to pause and consider. What if your deepest sense of justice, your instinct to defend the weak, your outrage at cruelty, all point not just to your preferences, but to a higher reality? What if morality isn't merely a social trick to keep us in line, but a signpost to the very nature of existence? Stay with me. For if this moral law is real and not just a cultural quirk, it may be the most powerful evidence we have that the universe is not silent, not cold, and not accidental. Let's begin with something ordinary, a quarrel. You've had one, surely. Perhaps you've said, "That's my seat, I was there first," or "You promised." Rarely do we say, "I don't like that," and leave it there. No, we appeal to something beyond ourselves, a rule, a standard. And here's the curious part. Both people in the quarrel almost always believe in that same standard. They may disagree about how it applies, but they don't deny it exists. One may say the other's being unfair, but not that fairness itself is nonsense. This is astonishing. It suggests that a moral law exists, not in written codes or laws, but built into the very fabric of our being. Now, some might say, morality is just a product of evolution or upbringing. But imagine this. If one culture says it's wrong to murder and another says it's admirable, do we simply shrug and say, "Different strokes"? Or do we believe one is closer to truth? Even those who deny moral absolutes live as if they are true. A thief protests when he's robbed. A liar is indignant when he's lied to. Why? Because deep down, he knows the standard too. And yet we break it. All of us. The moral law stands above us, and we constantly fall short of it. This isn't just failure, it's guilt. And that guilt speaks volumes. Throughout history and across continents, from ancient tribes in the jungles to modern societies in great cities, humanity has shown a remarkable agreement on a basic sense of right and wrong. This doesn't mean every culture shares identical rules, but the presence of some moral framework, some shared understanding that certain things are good and others evil, is nearly universal. Wherever you go, you find people praising honesty and condemning betrayal, honoring courage and despising cowardice, admiring kindness and scorning cruelty. Even in places where the expression of these values differs, the underlying recognition remains strikingly consistent. For instance, one culture might say a man should have one wife, another might permit several, but neither would admire a man who breaks promises to all of them. This suggests that moral values are not merely the product of local customs or temporary agreements, but arise from something deeper, more constant. If they were nothing more than habits or traditions, we would expect them to vary as wildly as fashion or food. Yet they don't. Instead, they appear embedded in human nature. Even those who break these moral standards often do so while trying to justify themselves, proving they still believe in the very law they have broken. This quiet yet stubborn agreement among mankind, across history, languages, and belief systems, is one of the strongest clues we possess that a moral law exists, independent of our personal preferences. And if there is a moral law, then perhaps, just perhaps, there is a moral lawgiver behind it. When people argue, they rarely do so as if they are merely stating personal preferences. Instead, they speak as if appealing to some standard that both sides ought to recognize. You will hear phrases like, "That's not fair," "You promised," or "How would you like it if someone did that to you?" Such statements reveal that the person is not merely saying, "I don't like what you did," but rather, "You are violating something that we both know to be right." Even the other person, though trying to defend themselves, almost always tries to prove that they haven't done anything wrong, not that the standard itself doesn't exist. This kind of behavior shows that in the very act of disagreeing, we acknowledge a common rule. If there were no such standard, quarreling would make no sense at all. It would be as pointless as arguing whether chocolate or vanilla tastes better. Yet we all know that arguments about fairness, justice, honesty, and decency are not about taste. They are about truth. The existence of this shared moral standard becomes especially clear in conflict because, in those moments we most desperate, and to be right means there must be such a thing as rightness, something real and knowable. Our appeals to fairness aren't just emotional reactions. They are intellectual claims that assume the existence of a standard beyond individual opinion. This repeated human behavior, observed universally, gives weight to the idea that morality is not something we invent, but something we discover. And if it can be discovered, then it suggests that right and wrong are not illusions, but realities. And realities point toward a deeper truth woven into the fabric of the universe. Many today suggest that morality is simply a social invention, a product of evolution, education, or cultural conditioning. They argue that what we call right and wrong is just a matter of agreement within a society, like driving on the left side of the road in one country and the right side in another. But this idea doesn't hold up under honest scrutiny. While it's true that different societies have different customs, what people wear, how they greet one another, or how they structure their families, the moral core beneath those customs remains surprisingly stable. For example, while one culture may express respect for parents in one way and another in a different way, both recognize that honoring one's parents is good. What's more, we can and do criticize the moral codes of other societies, or even our own, suggesting we believe some standards are actually better than others. If morality were purely a social convention, such criticism would be meaningless. We don't say one set of driving rules is better than another, just different. But we do say that certain actions, like slavery or genocide, are wrong no matter where or when they occur. That sense of moral judgment reveals that we believe in a standard that transcends human invention. Even those who deny absolute morality often live as if it exists, appealing to justice when they feel wronged. This contradiction shows that morality is not simply something we are taught, but something we recognize, something that claims authority over us. It behaves less like a human creation and more like a universal truth we've stumbled upon. And if morality is not something we made, then it must have come from somewhere beyond us, perhaps from the very source of the universe itself. One of the most unsettling facts about the moral law is that, although we all know it, none of us fully keeps it. We may admire honesty, kindness, and self-control, yet we often find ourselves being dishonest, selfish, or impatient. Even those who preach virtue to others do not consistently live by what they preach. We make excuses for ourselves, blame circumstances, or compare our failures with someone worse. But all these attempts only prove that we know we've fallen short. This repeated failure isn't just a matter of inconvenience or social embarrassment. It creates a deeper feeling, a sense of guilt. We feel that we ought to behave a certain way and are troubled when we don't. That word ought is crucial. We don't simply feel disappointed as if we had failed to meet a personal goal like missing a target in a game. We feel wrong, as though we've broken something that matters. This is because the moral law does not just describe what people do, it prescribes what they should do. And unlike the laws of nature, which we cannot break, The moral law can be broken, and often is. This strange fact that we are aware of a law we cannot keep raises a profound question. Why are we built this way? Why would a species evolve with a moral sense that constantly condemns its own behavior? Animals follow instincts, but humans live under an internal standard that accuses them. This uneasy conscience present in every soul is more than just a mental quirk. It cries out for explanation. It suggests that we are not merely physical creatures following impulses, but moral beings meant for something higher, and aware that we have somehow drifted from it. The weight of guilt is not just a burden, it is a clue. The existence of a moral law, and our awareness of it, serves as more than a curious fact about human nature. It is a signpost pointing beyond ourselves. This law is not something we invent, yet we all recognize it. It stands above us, judging our actions, stirring our consciences, and refusing to go away no matter how much we try to ignore or redefine it. The fact that we feel obligated to follow it, even when it costs us something, suggests that this law has authority, not the kind we give it, but the kind it already possesses. It operates like a voice inside us, calm but firm, commanding but never coercive. And that voice feels very much like the echo of something or someone greater. If the universe were purely material, the result of blind chance and natural processes, why would it include creatures who care about justice, mercy, truth, and self-sacrifice? These are not qualities that help survival in the simplest sense.